Hello there, and welcome to episode 7 of my quick tutorial series for Mind Over Magic. And in this one, we're going to go over Tier 2 wands and apprentices, because these two topics for me personally belong together very, very closely. We're going to go over all the various things that you need to know, starting from the research necessary, the options that you got, the necessities that you should fulfill before you go for these, all the little things. If you are new to this, there's a playlist link down below leading to the playlist of the whole thing here before, where I explain all the things you need to know about this game. We are going to go now about the how to get to the apprentice level. First up, you need to be able to do tier 2 research. This is this entire bracket here with the slightly lighter color. To get there, you require a workshop on the level of a mage's study. So this means you require a room that is pristine and skewed, requires some scholarly luxury, so you need to research these things and build these things, and eventually you will upgrade that room even further into the mage's tower. So if you want to, you can already try to fulfill these keywords as well, but it's not a must-have. Don't stress yourself out. A mage's study is excellent to begin with. Once you have that set up, and once you have a researcher eligible for the research, because you also need a certain level of lightning magic, you, as far as I remember, need a level 3 researcher for that. Lightning level 3. So that's the requirements. Once you have that, you can now research the tier 2 wands by placing down the request in the search bar here. You can see the whole research is necessary. That's still in the tier 1 research. And for the apprenticehood, you need now the higher tier. You just type in apprentice here, and then you will be led to the various workstations that you require to make apprentices. We get 7 different workstations. Everyone allows us to make apprentices of a certain element. As you can see here, these are also pretty far down the road, so you get first the tier 2 ones and then the apprentices. So that's the road that you can't take. Once you have apprentices, the apprentice stations researched, I highly recommend you to unlock chalkboards and bookshelves along the way, so you can make fancy rooms like these that are advanced classrooms geared out with the apprentice stations. Alright, that's the basics. This is already a pretty nice intermediate mid-game goal to achieve, so if you're looking for something to play towards to, this is definitely worth it, because it'll give you a lot of advantage. Also, down in the underschool, you're required to go for the stone ruins up until the very end, until you reach the wand transfigurator. This is the device that allows you to upgrade your wands to tier 2, and that's pretty much about it. You can start a ritual here, and everybody can upgrade their wand to tier 2. So, let's get into the meat and bones of this thing. Tier 2 wands are more costly, made at the wand shaper once they are researched. As you see here, they require quite a something, and once they are installed on the mage in question, they develop a new need depending on the magic. Fire mages get a need for victory, shadow mages get a need for moonlight, and so on and so forth. Your goal is now then to fulfill the new needs. What I must stress out though, no needs are fulfilled while a person is sleeping. Putting a darkness student under a window in the night to fulfill their moonlight desire doesn't work. Windows in the entire school, on the other hand, do so, because when they work during the night hours, they get their precious, precious moonlight. Whatever the case, increasing the wand level does not only come with new duties you have towards your mage, it also upgrades them massively. First up, they can level up 2 levels further than before, from 3 to 5. So the moment you upgrade your student with a tier 2 wand, they can learn more. They also gain another rank in their primary element, and a rank in a random element, which will be just randomly rolled. So this gives you an opportunity to see where people will develop further. Tier 2 wands alone allow you to have more valuable students, because the higher the level, the more value of graduation, and the more they learn, the more gnosis shots they yield. That's that. You can, of course, install these tier 2 wands also into people that are already staff. There's no limitation to that. So that's pretty much what you need to know. I don't want to go too deeply into how to play around all these different keywords, because this tutorial series is not meant to crack all the solutions out of the way for you. I try just to give you a couple of tips and tricks. Now, Tier 2 wands therefore allow you to have a higher ranking, which is really, really useful in the light of things like, let's do it like this. When you see, for example, refining beasts that need to be hatched. Kronbach, for example, needs a shellcracker, somebody with Earth skill 4. A student with a tier 2 Earth wand does the trick. No apprenticehood needed. This is much, much easier than trying to do this with an apprentice. I just want to point this out. Refining beasts, if you want to hatch them, I personally would strongly recommend to do this just with tier 2 wand students, because that's the easiest way to fulfill. Now, once you have those learning stations in place and you have a student that is fully learned, you can start a apprenticehood ritual. So the person in question can then cross-class itself with another element. Every student is eligible to be an apprentice of any of the 7 elements. So our friend Zayden here could be an apprentice of fire, would make him a pyromancer. Would downgrade his shadow and water magic, but would massively upgrade his fire magic. So depending on the element you choose for your apprentice, they gain a different passive trait. There are pretty interesting passive traits in between. So as you see here, specific spells gaining a higher critical chance here on this setup. There's a wide variety of things that you can't get there. What counts is, once you have selected somebody to be an apprentice and you've done the ritual, their teaching will henceforth happen in the room fitting to their apprenticehood, to their secondary class, so to speak. So you will need more teachers from that point on. They also gain a level cap multiplier. That means they double the amount of levels they can have. So with a tier 1 wand, you get a apprentice would have a maximum level of 6, with a tier 2 wand, 10, and 12 respectively with a tier 3. Which means the higher the wand level, the longer the apprentice will have to learn, but also the higher the maximum level will be, yielding higher level relics when graduating, but also needing a buttload of time to level them out. I gotta point out though, giving them the tier 2 wands or tier 3 wands after their promotion to staff, if you want to do that, will end up with mages learning very, very slowly compared to students, because students just spend way more time practicing compared to staff. So this is something you should keep in mind at that end. And at the point where the apprentice is fully leveled out, has all of their magic schools geared out, they're ready to go either to graduate or go into your staff. So fully leveled out apprentices make excellent replacements for your starter staff, because they really are something else. An apprentice fully leveled out with a tier 2 wand will be such a different power level compared to with what you started with. It is insane. I just want to say here that the amount of combinations is pretty big, and dual classing into 2 different elements yields you the ability to use both spells out of both schools, whereas mono elements have the higher chance of achieving a skill level which allows them to cast their ultimate, which needs a skill rank of 8, which is, for a dual classer, much harder to achieve. But they're so much more able to hit enemy weaknesses, and you have so many more options. It is really, really a difficult choice at any point. So my personal recommendations here are, take a look on how the secondary elements get influenced by the wand here. For example, I didn't buy myself with Yuki here, because I was way too curious to find out how the mudslide sorcerer performs. But she, for example, would have been an excellent candidate for Earth Lightning at that point, because she has had this twice already. So as you see there, this doesn't happen automatically. So Ephra, for example, did get different bonuses. So take this into account when you choose the career of people. The more bonuses they get funneled into one direction, the more payoff you get when you develop their apprenticehood into that direction. So this can also give you an idea where to put these people. Last but not least, I also want to point towards relics, which can increase skill caps. These are for dual classers, massively interesting because of obvious reasons. There's just so much payoff to have in having extra skill levels, especially with the higher tier skill cap increasers. Let's see. Yeah, this one is a good example. As you see there, this one gives at some point even a +2. For Yuki here, this would make the difference between Smash Tier 3 and Quake Tier 2. She would learn a lot of new things. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of configuration that you can do with your apprentices. And I personally would also recommend to consider high tier apprenticeship. That means higher tier ones, and going into apprenticeship only for people that really are worth the effort, or you just want to have the grind for the payout. What's also really important to note is that the extra trials that you get for the higher tier ones, as you see there, you unlock extra trials, are an excellent way to shorten the grind in their level development, because these payouts of experience are very, very powerful and potent in leveling them up. This is something I recently discovered for myself, so if you want to speed them up, check out their trials and try to fulfill them. It's a nice little side adventure which can sidetrack you enough to fall into chaos and dismay. Jokes aside, now you know pretty much all you need to know about apprentices and the usage of tier 2 ones. The devil is in the details here, because the new needs that your wizards will develop for with the tier 2 ones are something you need to iron out. I would strongly recommend to take it one by one. Start out with one element, see if the student behaves, if your setup is well for them, and then add in the next one. See how it works, and then add in the next one. As a last note before I leave, pastures are really, really nice for fire mages, because they allow you to automatically hunt things. Until then, fire mages have to be micromanaged for their victory need. Either take them to fights, or let them hunt stuff outside. Either way, they go nuts if you don't. All the other tier 2 side effects aren't as difficult to handle. Now, this would be the word. Let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, if I have forgotten anything in your humble opinion. Whatever and let me know if there's anything. Oh, leave a like, leave a subscribe, and feel free to check out the playlist link, like I said, downstairs below, leading to the rest of the quick tutorial series. So, thanks for watching. I hope you had a great time with this one, and see you on the next one. Bye-bye.